Bela, welcome to Colombia. We are really happy to have you in our country.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. It's beautiful.
We have been talking about the streaming world for years now. So what is the strategy, the Netflix strategy to maintain its position as a leader in such a competitive space?
Mm-hmm. You know, I'd say for us, it's always about making great film and TV. So we have around, 280 million accounts around the world. That's, around, let's say, 650 million people. And so the strategy is always, can we make great film and TV everywhere in the world that our members love? And we know that our members love lots of different kinds of film and TV, and so variety is very important to that. And our strategy and the focus has always been to make local, authentic, specific stories in countries, launch them to a global audience, but really make sure that the stories feel very authentic in all the different countries and languages we make. And I think if you really think about it, which is interesting, is that no other company has ever tried to program with this kind of ambition across this many languages, tastes, and cultures. And that's really our focus, is we want to make amazing film and TV that audiences all around the world love.
How do you allocate a budget of $17 billion? And how do you decide your major bets?
So we have different, local teams in lots of different countries and, all through Latin America also. And those teams, know the writers and creators and directors, filmmakers in those countries. We look at, what's that next great story to do. And it's a very fluid thing, with the budget in that way. And we know there's a wide variety of things between different kinds of scripted film and TV, documentaries, unscripted. There's lots of different kinds of things we do. We also do, some live programming. And so it's really just like, where's that next great story? But it's really about those local executives working in the local creative ecosystem in each of those countries that really partner with the talent, and they're the ones who really decide what's that next great bet.
With millions of subscribers around the world, how do you know what they want to watch? And what type of tools or insight do you use to decide what to produce?
Mm-hmm. What I think is always important to remember is that, we really are obsessive about the audience, right? Who's the audience? What do they love? And I think you sort of want to understand, what people love and what they want to watch, but we also want to surprise the audiences. And the best way we do that is we work with the best creators and filmmakers around the world. And they're the ones, right, who come in with a great story or a great pitch, a script. And our jobs are to really recognize that voice or that talent and really champion that. And I think creators and filmmakers have a great idea what audiences want. And it's always understanding that people have lots of different tastes and moods, right? I'm sure even you, right? When you want to watch something, you're in the mood for a comedy, you're in the mood for a drama. Sometimes you're in the mood for a movie or a TV show. And I think to understand that's why variety is so important to us, because we want to make sure whether you're watching or somebody in your family, that right people have, their favorite movie or their favorite show. And I think really it's always about the focus of championing kind of the creators and filmmakers. And we also want to, we always want to surprise and delight the audience. Like, give them what they want and then also surprise them at the same time.
One of the Netflix hallmarks around the world is to do local productions and turning it into global hits. Mm-hmm. So how do you coordinate that massive and diverse pipeline that you have around the world with different offices and different teams and different languages and cultures and everything?
Yeah. So I think what's, really great is so some people think, that, they'll want to come to us and say, we want to make a global movie or we want to make a global show. And to me, we're not trying to make global hits. We're trying to make very local, culturally specific stories. And when something is very authentic and very specific, kind of the more specific it is, I think, the more universal it becomes, right? It connects with people. People can really relate to those themes. And I think sometimes when you try to make something globally and you try to make something for everyone, you make something for no one, because it becomes too broad and too watered down. And so the way we coordinate it is that we have these local country offices with the teams who are from that country, they speak the language, they work with the creative talent on the ground, and they're the ones who make those decisions. But really what we've been able to do is our titles that are local and culturally specific from certain countries, because we launch it to a global audience, have just connected, right? They're great. They're just great stories and they can connect with people. You know, I think if you take, 100 Years of Solitude, if you take sort of LATAM's region, 100 Years of Solitude, beloved book, of course, but right, we wanted to make it so specific and really make that book come to life in the most authentic way. We'll launch it to a global audience and people will really connect with that. And recently from Brazil, we just did a show about Senna.
I love it. I already finished it.
Did you? Oh, good, good. And so that was really like made there. It was about, right, this, big, sports icon and really exploring sort of racing and his story. But we wanted it to be very authentically his story and told in the language that it should be told, right, in Portuguese, and then also being able to kind of launch it to a global audience. And that's really been, we've done that, in Korea with Squid Game and in France with Lupin, and we've done it around the world, La Casa de Papel from Spain. And so that's always been the strategy of local culturally specific stories and then resonating with a global audience.
What does Latin America mean to Netflix? How do you see our region in this overall strategy?
Yeah. Love Latin American storytelling. There's such great stories, such great talent. If you look at all the crafts, right, of film and television making and storytelling, there's an amazing, rich history of that here. And, we have all these countries, Latin America, very important to us. The audiences love things from around the world, but they love their own stories too. And I think if you look at the ambition of the storytelling that we want to do, but that also that local creators and filmmakers and production designers and costume designers and hair and makeup and everybody else sort of want to do, they're pushing the storytelling and the ambition, of what is able, to be done. And I think if you look at Senna in Brazil or Pedro Paramore from Mexico, and now looking at 100 Years of Solitude in Colombia, and we're also doing El Eternato in Argentina, and really that kind of ambition of storytelling, it's amazing, right, to take some original stories or some of this really beloved IP and being able to make it locally, right? Still doing amazing production value, pushing the storytelling and the ambition of scope and what we can do here. And what I love is it's very local people who are right in those departments and all those different crafts. And then what we hope and what's happened is you really have that, transfer of knowledge, right? That experience of being able to, really have this ambition of storytelling and then taking that on to the next project, or having, the person who might have been the number 2 and now becoming the number 1 on the next show. And so we really want to keep that kind of training and knowledge and building that community and what is the ambition of that storytelling, right, in these countries. So Latin America, very important to us, really important to our audiences, and I think just it has such a rich history of storytelling. And we're so happy and proud to be able to be here and do these and tell these stories.
Bela, before joining Netflix, you used to work for linear TV and traditional studios. What is the main difference that you saw between those type of companies and Netflix?
Look, I think the big difference is, we definitely are a global company. We have audiences all around the world. We also make local language originals, right, in all of these countries. A lot of the linear networks, which are great, but have a very specific demographic or very narrow audience, right? Or they make one kind of, usually, a couple very specific kinds of shows or movies. And it's just a more narrow lens on what that is. And for us, I'd say we have, we have such great variety of the type of things we can do, from, stand-up to documentaries to film to TV, comedy, dramas, like so many different kinds of things. So that's like a big difference. The other, I think, big difference is that we really have the freedom and flexibility to support storytellers. Is it supposed to be a limited series? Should it be a returning series? Should it be a film? Even when we make series, episode 1 can be 42 minutes and episode 3 can be 62 minutes because that's just the right way to tell the story, and that's the best way to tell the story. So there's also a lot of just flexibility in the creative of what is the best way to tell that story. And we don't have as many sort of limitations and restrictions as linear network does in the way it's kind of structured.
Now we have this series, this upcoming project called 100 Years of Solitude.
Yes.
What were the biggest challenges in adapting this novel, this iconic and complex novel, to the screen? And I would like to know if you were involved in the project.
Yeah, so I think, look, it was always, I mean, it's such a beloved novel and so special, and people feel very connected to it, and, it explores such beautiful, big, very relatable, themes of just big, epic family drama and complex relationships, and it has all of those things that, audiences really, and people just, connect to. So I'd say the challenge was, it's a very big, beloved book, and you want to really get it right? For the family, for the estate, for the audiences, for the fans who love it, right? You really want to make sure that you bring that to life, right? Bring the book to life on screen. And so it took us many, many years to be very...
I remember the announcement. It was like almost 5 years ago.
Yes, yeah, it was a long time ago, and we really wanted to make sure, because of the scope, right, and the passage of time in it. So it's like to build this town, and how do you explore Macondo like that, and how do we make sure we make it locally, but we also make sure that we have the ambition of the storytelling and visually that it's so arresting, right? It's cinematically stunning. So the challenge, it was very exciting to do, and of course we wanted to do it, but we also wanted to make sure we did it when we were gonna do it really thoughtfully, do it right, do the book justice, make sure it really translates on screen, and assembling, an incredible team to really be able to, actually bring all of that to life. So I'd say that was really the challenging part, the exciting part, and the nervous part, right? But also the exciting part to bring this to audiences that way. And so we really took our time to make sure that it had all of those things. And I think people are going to love it. I think it really does bring that book to life in such a beautiful way. And the local teams really were the ones day in and day out who worked on it, right? I'm really there in a more, I'd say more supportive, championing role of like, yes, let's take a big swing and let's do something really ambitious, and let's do when it's right. So I'm just so happy and proud and thrilled for all of the team that put so much work into it and so much care, because every art director and costume designer and director and DP, like everybody put so much love and thought into it, and everybody cared so deeply because it's such a personal story and something that I think people feel a lot of pride, of wanting to really get it right for the audiences and for the family. And so I'm excited about people seeing it.
Do you think that 100 Years of Solitude, the production, give any new learning to Netflix?
Yeah, I think when we've done, when we did, Senna in Brazil and Pedro Páramo in Mexico and 100 Years of Solitude here, I think the learnings are really that we already know there's great storytellers here, and we know there's incredible talent. And I think the learning still is always going to be taking time to do really, beloved stories that, that our audiences really feel connected to, and taking the time to do it right and do it very culturally and locally specific, and then launching into a global audience is always going to continue to be, as much as we can, I guess, reconfirm the learnings. And then also it's great to see of just learnings for the just crew and on the production of what's possible, right? Sometimes you don't know what's possible until you go all the way there and you try to push the limits of, what's been done before. And that's a really exciting thing, and that people feel they've learned on the production, they feel more confident about the next one, right? And you just kind of see excitement and ambition of storytelling. And so I think that's always kind of the learning in it. But I think what's exciting is it just really kind of more reconfirms that we know there's amazing talent, right, in Colombia and such just great storytelling. And we're just really happy and proud to bring it to life.
Bela, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much. Thank you for having me.